third grade. My mother's
grade,
a pianist, and I knew I wanted to play something. I loved rock and roll, but I chose the violin. And then a couple of years later, I discovered that you can plug it in. And so I kept practicing, but I was practicing Rush and Eddie Van Halen and AC/DC and you know, stuff like that.
And you're currently doing musicals like Hamilton, right?
Yeah. If you come to New York, you can see Hamilton the musical.
And he's in the orchestra. Adele, yourself.
Hello. I started violin when I was 3, actually, and I switched to cello when I was 4.
Thank God.
I know.
You gotta hold it right up thing about.
Oh, can you hear me now? Okay. I started on violin when I was 3, and then I switched to cello when I was 4. And my dad was a cellist, and he was my teacher all the way up until I went to college. So my brother was also a cellist, so I was just I kind of fell into it. Luckily, I love it, and here we are.
Entcho, same question. What made you get into music and the violin?
Well, check one to Steve. By the way, you know Steve? He told me to tell you to be quiet. That's all. It's Steve. He's not me. Talk to him. By the way, it's that guy. Anyway, I'm coming from a communist country once upon a time, and I was forced to play the violin. It was almost physical, but whenever your parents tell you you're gonna do that because your father does that, what you gonna do when you're like 5 years old? Nothing, you listen. Because otherwise you know what happens if you don't listen. But I did play the violin and I loved it, you know, for my lifetime. Thank you.
Clockwork made your string section. So how did you find, are you Rush fans to begin with? Were you Rush fans before you get selected to play in the string section?
Yes. So I actually came to find out that I was like one of the only full-time pure Rush fans since the late 70s. So I had the same experience that many of you had. Last night we were talking a little bit about the first time we heard Rush, and I'm one of those guys or gals that, you know, I heard it on headphones at my buddy's older brother's house, and well, it was Farewell to Kings. And it was just, so it was just like, it was one of those, what's happening right now? What's going on? And then one of the people told an interesting story last night about how they gathered all the albums and sat on their floor for 6 months listening to all the records. And it was kind of like me. I had the boombox in the woods behind my house, so I sat in the dirt and listened to everything for years and years and years and years. And you know, I know I'm a violinist with Clockwork Angels, and I played with Rush, but I didn't do it, but I could air drum like you can't even imagine. Like, better than
everybody air drums.
Don't
Let's see air drumming.
Don't even fuck with my air drumming. I would never do it, but I can do it. Anyway, so a pure Rush fan, but interestingly enough, Entcho and I worked with the producer, Nick Raskalinitz, who produced Clockwork Angels, and we were doing a record. The three of us do a lot of studio work, and we were doing a record in New York City for another band, Evanescence, that he produced.
Evanescence, wow. Amy Lee. Yeah.
And we met Nick, and we hit it off with Nick, and there was another connection with another colleague of ours, Antoine, and David Campbell was the writer who did all the orchestrations for Clockwork Angels. And somehow we were the only 2 people from New York that kind of, because of those connections, were called to do this. And I said to Entcho, who's a close friend of mine, and we live on the same street, he said, what is this Rush? And then he talked to another bass player, a friend of his from Bulgaria, who said, you're fucking going. Just go. And so that was his, but within 10 minutes he was a Rush fan, as is anybody who does that. And I don't want to speak to you, but you can tell the story about how you came to.
Great story, thanks.
So I will honestly say that I did not know much about Rush when I was offered the tour, but I quickly became a fan as soon as we started working with them. They were just the best humans, some of the best people I've ever worked with. So it was, I just feel so lucky to have gotten a chance to work with them, honestly.
You don't just become a Rush fan, you become a fan of those three people and the crew and everybody attached to it. So.
That's kind of like where I'm going to go to the next question, I guess. It's like the experience of playing night after night with the guys. I've seen the videos where they come out, they all shake your hand before the show, and he always turns around and So, what was your highlight during that tour? Or working with the guys, what was your highlight? What was your favorite moment of on the tour with them?
Well, one very special moment of the tour was actually when we did sound checks. Because we'll always do sound check, we show up, they first start themselves, and then it's the strings, or it was the other way around, I think. Was it first string? First it was strings, yes. So they come, and this was the very, very extraordinary thing about them. They'll come just like regular people, and will come here with a conversation. Hey Johnny, I saw like this on the street. Who's a friend of yours said something about that? And this Entcho, did you drink this last night or this? The way, the human interaction with them and the communication with us, which was not even that much of, oh, it's like a colleague, we're in an office or something. No, it was just, we're friends hanging out, oh, and now we're gonna play. And then it's professional. And it's, everything is professional, but do we talk to each other just as professionals? No. They have this personal touch that is one of a kind. I think this is very, very, very special that we had to experience with them.
Agreed. And just to add a little, you as a lifelong Rush fan, sitting here up on a riser talking to Neil or Getty or Alex, and they kept talking. When you are in love with someone, you don't want to keep them too long. But they kept, it was like a dream. Like, why am I still talking? It was incredible. They're incredible people, and will always be.
I gotta say, one of my favorite parts of the entire tour, they took me out to dinner for my 26th birthday then. And
26!
Last year, right?
11 years ago. But oh my
20, that
gosh.
makes you 28.
Yes, I'm 28 today. And they took me to the whole band, and we all went to dinner, and it was just the most special. They really take their time to get to know the people around them, and it was just so fun. And we had such a good time at my birthday dinner, and oh my god, because of them, because of the people that they are.
It's proper people.
Yeah, they're working like us, right? They really are, man, but they're just extremely talented. And some of these guys, by the way, wait till you see them tomorrow. I was at rehearsal today. Oh yeah. Wait till you're losing it in the garden. Oh my god. Yeah. I'm supposed to say that shit. We're Steve. He's gonna get mad at me. Yeah. It was great. So
I'm gonna play that.
I think Jonathan learned it just recently, right? Next one. Say what you can. I'm not trying to get prying into anything, but what was your favorite time on the bus in between shows?
We don't remember any of it.
Oh, there we go. That answers that one.
The bus was, I'll divulge this, the bus was so fun because Rush set it up where there was always a day off afterwards, which is both wonderful and incredibly dangerous. So the day of a show, out of pure respect, nothing happened. They were very, you can't even imagine how crisp and clean and professional everything was. Once the show was over, you knew you had a day, they knew they had a day, and that was quite a day.
What do you think, anyway? Right?
Yeah, so I think it was, but completely incredible.
Awesome. And I gotta ask this question. All of us that saw the Clockwork Angels tour, we know that at the end of Carnies, they pretty well get fucking blown up, right? Yeah, all the explosions, the fire, and everything. So what was it like standing on the stage with all that stuff going around you?
Personally, I fucking loved it. harder and like more intense and just like, and we all had to kind of like lean forward on the riser because it did get really hot. And so like Jacob, the other cellist, and I were standing and playing, and it was so sick. I loved it.
We have this Canadian firefighter that was like managing the whole thing. I mean, one of the most beautiful men in the world. Firefighter, come on, all the girls know. How many are here? 3, 4?
3 or 4 girls. Well, I see 5 down here.
Much more even than
1, 2, 3.
Anyway, that Canadian firefighter, beautiful man, he always said, oh, it's gonna be fine. Well, I'm burned in the back and my chair is completely burned and I have to lean up. I said, no, it's totally fine. That's how it's gonna be. We did miss it, as Adele said, because some venues like New York City would not allow that. But when it was there, it was really pumping up everything.
It was great.
So did you become good friends with John Aerosmith? Just make sure he didn't blow you up too much or anything? Oh yeah, I know John, so yeah.
I also took some great photos, John.
John did things. Unfortunately, Andrew McNaughton passed. He was a long-time photographer with Rush, and then afterwards, I think John took over, right? John Aerosmith, sorry, I should say, he did all the pyro. So like all the explosions, all the fireworks, everything else, that big bang that scared the shit out of us every time. That was John Aerosmith. So like, you basically kill these guys every night, right?
And he had a glint in his eye, like a little twinkle. He was kind of excited that we were afraid. Yeah, he enjoyed it.
I did an interview with the road crew and Time Machine Tour, and John was quite happy to show me all the shit that he blows everything up with right, all the time, right? So he does get into it, he really does. And for those that don't know, he worked with Metallica, and they used to have a tour where this big bridge would fall over and a guy came out on fire. That was John Aerosmith. He set it up, and he was the guy on fire, by the way. You guys have anything personal you want to say? Anything you're working on now, or any personal things from working with Rush that you want everybody to know? Or?
I mean, we're just regular working class musicians, and we're always thankfully, the 3 of us are in New York City, and we play shows, and we do a lot of recordings, and we have a pretty good discography between the 3 of us, but that's sort of what we do full time, And now I have 2 little babies, even though I'm 100 years old. So I know, and they're very good friends with them, and my wife Kaylee is here. We just learned how to pronounce her name coming to Scotland, so
learn the proper way to say her name. And the last name Graham, right?
Graham.
We have a few Grahams out here. Yeah. Well, just wanted to thank you guys for coming out. Thank you for being here.